feeling a lot stronger about something like a Pango, you know.
Hmm.
Oh, a Tidehunter, actually. So something a little tankier. The only thing I was worried about the Underlord, yes, it's good with the Pit of Malice. Yes, it's good to be able to push out the Beastmaster. But when it comes down to this, upper bracket final, GeekFam versus Boom, winner goes on to the grand final. They haven't played it at all on this patch, and they've only banned it once. So it's really just not being considered at all by them at this stage. Tidehunter, we see him have his up and down games, right? Like you
Mm.
don't really want to be smack bang in the middle of these team fights because you're just going to be cut around a fair amount. I suppose the Kraken Shell is able to shrug off a lot of that slow, a lot of those stuns that might be coming through for him, but it's still going to be a tough ask to try and lock them down with that initial stun coming through from Boom.
Yeah, especially with Kinetic Field Static Storm, you can't crack and shell off that silence. So if Tidehunter ever gets caught in that and he gets bursted down as well, it's going to be quite hard for them to utilize this Tidehunter. I mean, I like it with the AoE team fight. It's really good Vlad's builder as well for the Ursa and the Mirana, who do like throwing out those auto attacks. So it does allow them to have a decent aura builder, but I don't know. I feel like as you said, he's probably going to get carted around by this Ember Spirit and this Queen of Pain quite easily in a lot of these team fights. And same with the Boar slow. Like, the Beastmaster can just throw a Boar onto the Tidehunter. If he doesn't go for that Blink Dagger build, then he's going to be trying to run around and try and get himself a good Ravage where can't really get much off. So, boom, they get rid of the Slark to just try and make sure the Tidehunter has a better lane. But I feel like I need a little bit more damage coming out from Boom to try and round out their draft a little bit here.
It doesn't necessarily need to be direct damage, it just needs to enable the rest of the team. They've gotten rid of the Void Spirit on GeekFam, which I like. They don't have a fantastic win rate on it, something like 50% or so. I feel like the Puck's a good pick here. You can push out the Beastmaster waves quite well. You can avoid being glimpsed back a fair amount with all of your utility. You're going to be building into something like a Yule Scepter, so even if you get Static Stormed, you're pretty fine. Oh, they go for a
Oh, okay.
Necro, though. So just wanting to stand in the middle of those fights and maybe make them choose between the Tide and the Necro.
Yeah, I guess so. It does allow them to pretty much have this walking wall going into Geek Fam. They don't might not have that instant initiation, but you put your Necrophos on the front side, try and get him to start whacking in those towers. The Tidehunter can get the counter initiation, so can get on the backline as well. So, I mean, I kind of like this draft coming out from Boom. Maybe the Ghost Shroud's not all too crazy strong this game, but at the same time, he builds up a few more of those auras. They're going to get that Guardian Greaves, probably pipe build up a little bit quicker here because the Tidehunter doesn't have to go for all of them straight away. So they're going to be able to hit this timing where they feel pretty strong as a 5-man ball walking into these towers, right?
Yeah, it's going to be rough for them. How are they going to finish out this draft for Geek Fam? They've still left it so open with how they want to be able to combat this. Spirit Vessel Carrier could really be either the Queen of Pain or the Ember Spirit. You would think it's the Ember, based off, recent history.
Yeah, I really like how Geek Fam have left themselves open to go whichever avenue they want. As you said, they've already got Spirit Vessel builders, so they don't really need to pick a 4 that needs to pick a Spirit Vessel. They can go for a more kind of scaling core if they want to here on Geek Fam. Try and make sure that the Tidehunter has a worse lane. What are they going to go for?
If they wanted to go all out push, I think Enigma's a little too greedy.
I was going to say, what about the Lycan? But then I realized Geek Fam banned that out early on. Too good of a hero to keep in. I mean, last overall pick Lycan, I feel like you'd be, kicking yourself in most series if you let that through. So they're going to go for the Morphling.
Okay. Yeah, it's perfectly fine. Probably going to see, you would say, Queen of Pain as the 4?
I'd
Raven
imagine
1,
so.
as expected. Mid Necrophos coming through as well.
Okay, so Makoto's going to be picking that one up. I want to see where Geek Fam put their eggs in, whether or not it will be Ember Spirit mid or the Quap mid. I guess they're just trying to figure out who will have the better time as a 4, trying to bully the Ursa and the Witch Doctor, right?
And who's not going to, die for that sort of trade, essentially. Probably the Queen of Pain more so. At least in lane. Once Ursa hits level 6, you're a lot less worried about things like the Shadow Strike and things of that nature.
Yep. I could certainly see that. So Zephyr's going to pick up the Ember Spirit and Cuckoo will pick up the Queen of Pain. Man, I love that Arcana. I'm so happy that we have a Quap pick and we have an Arcana in our first match here, Matt. I'm very excited.
Yeah.
Haven't been able to utilize
Little
it
too
all
excited, it sounds like.
Well, sometimes Valve pumps out an Arcana and you're like, boy, I love playing Dota, I'm more than willing to shill out an extra couple $100 to Lord Gaben to get that one in my inventory.
And as we were expecting with this increased tempo, unless they're going to change up the lanes a little bit, Carl is going to be playing that Beastmaster in the mid lane.
Oh, really? Maybe it's just a better lane for him up against the Necro?
Not really.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't seen Beastmaster in a very, very long time, so I can't really speak to its winning and losing matchups in the mid lane, but yeah, it looks like we're going to be having a Beastmaster mid, so I guess this is going to be like a 4-man pace draft up against the
bit more team fight.
Team fight. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's fine having something like this this Carl Beastmaster, because you're always going to he gets the fight me up. You're always going to be able to just throw it around. I think it's just a really comfortable Cuckoo hero. This this Queen of Pain. It could very well be the offlane, but no, it is just going to be mid Beastmaster. He's building up some regen for himself with the headdress. You've obviously got your Hawk and your Boar, so that you're not going to suffer from too many rotations. It's good to be able to combat that Hyde Mirana just by having a Hawk nearby.
Mm-hmm.
What's Dreamer Cell doing in here? He's kind of camping within the trees on the top side here, making a little fort for himself.
Just trying to get himself a good position where he can deal with whatever lane that he wants to go up against, putting himself in a good position where he can run left or right, whether he needs to go to the offlane or the safe lane. So it's like he hides, just trying to spot out where these lanes are going. As you said, Carl's going mid, so he's going to start with Boars as well. I was trying to think to myself about whether or not like an Axes build would be good against the Necro, because you have the added magic damage, and just try and use like Inner Beast and Axes to just kind of push out the lane and force the Necro out of the mid lane a little bit.
It is possible, but you always just want that Boar, especially when you're in a lane where they're really not going to be killing it, just to constantly get that harass through. It could very well just be a Call of the Wild and Wild Axes Boar, though. Build, rather.
That is true. We'll see what Carl wants to do in that mid lane up against the Necrophos here of Makoto. So it looks like Musical Chairs has already started. They're going to send FBZ towards the top side here, so he's going to try and deal with the Cuckoo Queen of Pain as well as the Zephyr Ember Spirit. So we'll be having a offlane Queen of Pain here with a position for Ember.
Yep, and we see this a fair amount at the start of games these days. We've got a tri-lane happening down towards this bot side because, when you've got that Witch Doctor, he's probably going to level up the stun, combine that together with the Sacred Arrow. You can get a First Blood most of the time, but they need to start upping the tempo because you want to make sure that you get off this body block onto the hard camp on the top side of the map.
Mm-hmm. Oh, FBZ is copping a decent amount of damage here from Zephyr and Cuckoo. So he's gone for the Kraken Shell level 1 here to try and deal with those Shadow Strikes, but unfortunately enough for him, he has not got the proc on the first one, so he's going to cop an entire one there from Cuckoo.
Lucky enough to pick up that last hit on the range creep. They've got the stun onto Whitemon, and here we go with Hyde. Will they have the damage to finish him off?
And they're looking here for the Disruptor kill. Whitemon has to get himself underneath the tower, and he does. So Disruptor saves himself for a little bit longer here, but nice little arrow there from Hyde trying to get it done. So Raven is copping a decent amount of aggression here in this bottom side. He is 3-0. It is very early on here in this early lane stage, but this tri-lane is really going to try and shut down the Raven Morphling because they don't want to make sure that he can utilize all the space that this 4-man ball is going to be able to create him here for GeekFam.
Yeah, that is too true. They're still sticking down this bottom side. They absolutely want to grab this First Blood before making any sort of rotations. That's why, of course, you go the Kraken Shell onto FBZ to make sure that he's able to at least get some experience on this top side.
Oh, Whitemon, he copped another one. He's going to get the auto attacks here from Dreamer Cell, and with the little front forward, Kez Cute's the one that picks that one up. So boom. Give themselves the First Blood here up against GeekFam.
FBZ doing a good job himself as well. He pushed the lane forward with his Anchor Smash using that off cooldown, which means that he's able to get a pull off for himself. Who needs a support these days?
Yeah, when you're a big green man, you can do whatever you want. So Cuckoo's going to try and deal with that pull by himself. So what's the plan here for Zephyr on this Ember Spirit? Are they going to try and kill the FBZ Titan, or are they just going to wait until this Ember Spirit gets a few levels? Maybe Cuckoo gets a few levels as well, and they just start making some rotations around the map, because Ember as well as Queen of Pain can start to gank fairly early on.
They can, but you can't really have too much kill potential at this tide, especially if FBZ is playing it so well, making sure that he's farming either underneath his tower, or if it gets pushed out well enough, he's denying the wave away from Cuckoo. So he's already half a level ahead of this Queen of Pain. Oh, they've caught out Disruptor one more time.
Oh, Whitemon. The man's just eating arrows. He's absolutely copying in this bottom side here. So he's died twice early on here on the Disruptor. A little bit unfortunate there for him. So GeekFam are going to have to slowly start to recoup on this bottom side. They are starting to lose out quite heavily now on the last hit department. Only 8-0 here for Raven, where we've got Dreamercell 16-5 already on the Ursa. So once he starts to pull forward a little bit more, they're going to have a little bit more kill threat on the Morphling. And, if Raven starts to die, that's when GeekFam's really going to start to sweat.
Yeah, we do have a bit of a situation in the mid lane as well, with the Necrophos able to bully out this Beastmaster, force him through to the jungle, and you can see Makoto, he's still holding on to one of those shared tangos, so he hasn't been feeling the heat at all.
Yeah, Makoto seems to do pretty well here in the mid lane, and this is where I was, when you told me that Carl was taking the Beastmaster towards the mid lane, I was a little bit concerned, because I was like, I don't think Beastmaster really does, all too well against the Necrophos, and, Makoto's really starting to make it known that Carl was not having a good time in this mid lane, where he's just cleared himself up a double stack, so he's okay with that. So he's starting to recoup a little bit here. But the fact that Makoto's just been able to sit in this mid lane nice and freely, he's gonna have a nicely timed level 6. And once the rotations start coming out here from Hyde as well as the Witch Doctor, we should be pretty fine here for Boom to start finding more kills across the map.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of Hyde, he's just gone on a bit of a smoke warding mission. We want to try and find out where exactly this Beastmaster is farming, because he doesn't have too much of a game, but if you're able to get a kill off with your support on top of that, then it's even bigger deal. They throw out the arrow to try and get onto Whitemon, but not the case.
Yeah, a little unfortunate there for Boom. They didn't catch another kill there onto Whitemon. Looks like top side, Cuckoo was able to finally pick up FBZ with the help of Zephyr as well, so it looks like they were probably just trying to whittle him down there on the Tidehunter, and they just caught him out with a little bit of low HP and just jumped on top of him. And Raven,
still here.
He's just gone, alright boys. No, as you said, mid. There's a bit of way to go. Hyde's copping a lot from this tower. Whitemon causing these rotations across the map. Makoto now with that level 6, wanted to push behind the tier 2 tower. He's going to try and look for Carl. If he catches him, it could be a pretty free kill with the Reaper's Scythe, but he doesn't get the vision for it.
That's the benefit of having that Hawk, right? Like, he's already been pushed back to be playing so defensively, already sitting nearly 1.5 levels behind this Necrophos. But yeah, you can realize that, look, I can push forward a little bit. I can play somewhat aggressively with this farm, and might mean that you can split up a lot more of this experience with Whitemon, perhaps getting a early level 6 compared to this Witch Doctor.
Yeah, Kezcute's only sitting at level 3 here because he has just pretty much stuck in lane with Dreamercell the entire time. They've put Cuckoo on this bottom side as well, so realizing that the Queen of Pain has a decent amount of escape up against this combination of the Witch Doctor and the Mirana. So hopefully Cuckoo can get a few more levels and just try and stop the free farm coming out from Dreamercell.
Yeah. And they've left Raven up on this top side now. They've got him his early farm. He's nearly finished up his Morbid Mask. And speaking of, FBZ, he's opted to pick one up for himself. So realizing, look, I went up and died that first time, but I just want to be able to use that Anchor Smash to sustain myself in lane. Raven's in a bit of trouble, though. He waveformed forward just now.
They found him out. They are getting some nice body blocks there from FBZ. They have no way of stopping the TP. Hyde was going to throw out an arrow, but too many creeps are in the way. So Raven TPs himself back to base. So he's going to have to walk back to a lane as well. And this is where Boom are really starting to win this game of musical chairs. They are just starting to get the matches they would prefer as well.
Yeah, forces the TP down to bot lane from FBZ though, with the Ursa as well as Hyde having to move up towards the top side. So maybe not 100% ideal for them, but I think it's a necessary move.
Looks like they're looking for Whitemon again. Makoto's just going to start diving the tier 1 tower. The arrow gets pump faked again here from Hyde. They do throw out the kinetic field to try and stop him out, but it doesn't matter because they've got the Reaper's Scythe. They don't get the Reaper kill, but they get the kill nonetheless.
That's fine. I think at this stage of the game that you're just happy to use it once, get the guaranteed kill, put it on cooldown. Next time you're probably wanting to use it is around that 10-minute mark when you're going to be contesting for the outposts. So good timing for Makoto to use it.
Cuckoo as well as Zephyr, they're going to try and get a kill here on FBZ. He did crack and shell off one of those Shadow Strikes, and not enough mana there for Cuckoo to use the Sonic Wave. Who isn't able to level up his Arcana this time around. Oh, okay.
And Makoto as well. He's in a little bit of trouble.
Yeah, unfortunately, Makoto is a little bit too far in that mid lane. Raven's made his rotation as well, and they take out Kezcute. That's a double kill there for Raven. That's a big rotation coming out from the Morphling. Just picking up out the Molded Mask, getting himself a double kill. Nice little bit of experience into the pocket here of Raven. So it looks like GeekFam starting to come back a little bit here in this first game.
They are. And it's a little surprising because Boom should really know all of their positioning. Look at all this deep warding that's going on right now from Boom. They've got the entire jungle warded up. They've got this bottom lane warded up. So they should know that the entire team was ready to back them up and just overextending their welcome a little bit. And that's one of the downsides of using that Reaper Scythe so aggressively just on a position 5 support.
Yeah, exactly. It just didn't really come out on top with the post-trade. So we'll see how this game does start to pan out for the rest of Boom, though. I want to see what type of build Makoto goes for. He's already got the mech kind of queued up here. So I'd imagine he's probably going to go something like Guardian Greaves into maybe something like... I'm just trying to think maybe like a Lotus Orb might be pretty good here for Makoto. Whether or not he wants to go like Mech Radiance or if he wants to, you know, just be a kind of Aura bot for Boom here and let Dreamer Cell do everything for them on the Ursa.
I don't know. I think Radiance might be a little greedy just because... That's exactly what GeekFam want, right? They've gone this position 3 and 4 Queen of Pain Ember Spirit, and if you give time to let them come online, then suddenly they're a lot more of a concern than, you know, that typical position 3 and 4 would be.
Well, Zephyr is following around Dreamer Cell here. He does have an urn picked up in boots, but he's only level 4 on this Ember Spirit, so Zephyr might need to knuckle down and get himself a few bits of experience. So he does have to use the Searing Chains, but Dreamer Cell... He's got the Enrage, so he's more than happy to take that one off and take a free kill in his own jungle.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of jungles, the Radiant jungle, it's just nowhere that anyone on GeekFam want to be right now. FBZ, he's parked himself here farming up. Makoto even, he's down on this bottom side. And Hyde, he's just slowly pushing down the tower, doing support things and making sure they don't lose this outpost. So I'm liking this by Boom. They might not be farming quite as much as GeekFam just at this point in the past couple of minutes, but they're taking map control, which is more important.
Yeah, they've taken out two... Okay, they haven't taken out the mid tier 1 tower. It is fairly low here for GeekFam, but they've taken down one tier 1 tower, and as you said, taking a lot of map control on the Radiant jungle here, and we can see with the response here from GeekFam, they want to try and put pressure on the enemy safe lane. They want to try and take over the enemy jungle as well. They've got level 6 here on Whitemon, so if anybody makes a rotation towards this tier 1 tower top, maybe caught out a little bit here.
They'll be fine. They're putting the pressure onto mid now, and this mid tier 1 tower is sitting at just under 400 HP. They've got the siege creep as well, and this rotation through from Hyde. Makoto's going to join him as well, but GeekFam, they know enough. They're like, well, we don't really want to take this right now.
Yeah, so they're going to lose a tier 1 tower. Looks like they are going to try and make a little bit of a response here. Carl does have a DD rune. They do throw out the Raw on top of the Titan. But that's a big arrow from the sideline here of Hyde. This is taking a lot of damage here on FBZ. And he gets burnt before he drops down the Ravage. Cuckoo is looking for more here. Makoto. Oh, they get the glimpse back. They found the vision there on a Hyde, but they don't have any stuns to catch out the Mirage. She's going to get TP out here. They do have the Shades there. Nice little play there from Zephyr. So they pick up 2 there on the side of GeekFam. And Boom, they do get the tier 1 tower, so a little bit more map control going their way, when they can start to regain it.
They got the map control, but it was actually denied up by the Beastmaster, so the gold not going in their favor, and they didn't even need Raven on the top side. He was pushing out that top wave. You can see here it makes a defensive movement come out from FBZ, and this is really when you should be trying to make something happen as this Tidehunter. You know, you just got the Static Storm and Primal Roar used on top of you. You've still got Ravage. You want to try and make something happen on the opponent's side of the map, and well, that's where all their wards are as well, so they should know where they have these avenues to take these team fights.
Yeah, it does feel like they need to put a little bit more pressure down here onto GeekFam, but they all seem to be quite happy to farm up a little bit here, and Makoto's going to go for a Halberd very early on here on this Necrophos, trying to give himself a little bit more tankability up against Raven, and you know, obviously that active comment from the Halberd is very, very good up against the Morphling if you can get it done. So we'll see. Speaking of Morphling, Raven is Copying a little bit more pressure here coming out from Boom. Dreamercell did just trying to jump on top of Raven.
And here we go. So here's some of the movement coming through from Boom. We've got a smoke on Kezcute. He's just hit up his level 6. FBZ is going to join him. And who are they going to find? That's the big thing. Raven, he's morphed fairly decently into Yagi, but he's got quick enough fingers that he's going to be able to react to this.
Yeah, they scanned him as well, so they know that he's around this ancient area. They want to try and get Makoto in area for this. Raven already popping that strength morph. So even if they did hit the Ravage there from FBZ, it doesn't matter because Raven is more than quick enough. Gets himself out with the TP towards top.
Feels a bit like a wasted rotation, though. We see the Moonlight Shadow popped as well, so Zephyr's scouted that out. They can make some defensive movements here. Cuckoo, he might be caught out a little bit by this.
Oh, Cuckoo. I thought they knew that the Moonlight Shadow was coming. The Ravage comes down as well. They're going to have the Reaper Scythe on top. Oh, they dropped everything on him. All right.
You don't want to waste the movement, but perhaps not quite needing the Death Ward for that one.
Kezcute was like, alright boys, I'm just going to drop the pink one on top of this guy. And I mean, he died fast, but with the Reaper Scythe, it doesn't really matter because Makoto's always going to get the last hit on that one.
Alright, so the question is now, they've got this value kill onto the Queen of Pain. Increased death timer, of course, from the Reaper's Scythe, up in another 10 seconds, but what are they really doing with it? You know, she's opted to go for the +8 strength, so being a little bit more tanky in these team fights, wanting to be able to zip in and out, have some guerrilla warfare going on. Oh. They use the ultimates up onto Tide again.
FBZ's taking a lot of damage and he's so squishy inside of that Static Storm. They do get the glimpse all the way back there onto Makoto, so he can't even respond. That's probably a blessing in disguise, to be fair there for Makoto, but either way, he doesn't get to defend his Tidehunter and goes down yet again here on FBZ.
Well, pressure keeps ramping up from GeekFam. They've got the push, they've got the Inner Beast aura maxed out, you've got the aura from the Necro units, you've got the Helm of Dom. It's a pretty scary place to be, this top side of the map, if you're Boom. But playing a little bit of the hero's role here is Dreamercell, and just wanting to farm it up a little bit. He's picked up his Battle Fury pre-15 minutes, so he has to be fairly happy with how his game's going.
15-minute Battle Fury is always good no matter what hero you're playing. So, I guess Alchemist is pretty bad, but that's a different story. But yeah, Dreamercell picking up that Battle Fury now. He can start to scale a little bit more, start to farm a little bit more as well. They're looking for Zephyr on the top side. He used 2 of his remnants. I thought he used all 3 of his remnants, but luckily enough for him, he's getting closer and closer to that Spirit Vessel as well on this Ember Spirit, so they're going to have a lot of kill potential into Makoto once that does come up. They don't really have a good purge for it right now. Makoto doesn't have any way of purging it off, and they don't have a Lotus coming anywhere soon either. So this Lotus Orb, this Spirit Vessel should do quite a lot of work here against Makoto, especially once, GeekFam decide to just start shoving into these towers. They've already taken a decent amount of damage on this tier 2 tower, and they want to try and take this tier 1 tower in the mid lane as well.
They're making it go for mid, and FBZ, he doesn't have TP for 30 seconds, so if he wants to join this, he just needs to run his body down through that jungle, and right now they don't have the vision that they previously had, so it's a little bit of a scarier prospect. The 3-man from GeekFam, they're trying to scout him out one more time.
Yeah, they're looking to try and collect onto this Tidehunter so they can make this tier 1 push a little bit easier, but they've already used the Moonlight Shadow here for the side of Boom. So Hyde's going to walk forward. Won't run into anybody just yet.
They saw it. They've got the defensive movement going on. That's the benefit of the Beastmaster Hawk just sitting on this high ground in the dire Tri-Camp. So just going for the safety of their Tri-Camp area, warding up a little bit. And again, it's another ultimate wasted for Boom.
Yeah, it really does feel like Boom are kind of getting outmaneuvered here on the map here by GeekFam. Not really getting much from either side, but GeekFam dodging that one out.
It's a much more even contribution coming out here from the GeekFam side, right? Tidehunter's sitting a fair way behind. He's essentially just sitting around. Ravage maybe pushing out the waves in a... Oh, are they going to go for something here onto Whiteman?
Oh, he almost died to that last tick in the fountain. FBZ tried to get on top of him there after they've used the Maledict from Kezcute. They're going to try and look for the Zephyr kill.
Nice pump fake of the Ravage there by FBZ, forcing a really defensive Remnant back. Yeah.
We'll see what else they can get done here for Boom. They've put a lot of pressure onto this tier 2 tower. I haven't really done all too much damage to it. This is kind of the downfall here from Boone's squad, is they really don't have a good tower here. Like, yeah, they've got Makoto who can sit on the front and throw auto attacks at it, and they've got some creeps to come in, but at the same time, they really don't have a strong tower pusher. Like, they've got the Beastmaster and like they've got the Quap with their Necro books here for GeekFam, and even the Morphling to a certain extent.
Now with the Necro though, he's got that Yule Scepter, so he's going to be able to remove some of the threat of that Spirit Vessel.
FBZ.
Trying to make an aggressive play here.
He's walked into the river. He did get glimpsed not too far back, though. He's at the tier 1 tower. They are starting to do Roshi on the side of GeekFam. They really haven't done all too much damage for it. Out comes Coconut on the side, as well as the Maledict. So Zephyr's going to lose his Flame Guard for this, but they didn't lose any life for it. So Carl's able to send himself back towards that top side of the map, and boom again. Making all these rotations, and GeekFam just seem to be getting better trades out of this.
Yeah, wouldn't surprise me to see this bottom half of the map go completely ignored for the next time, because as we saw there, Geek, they were posturing around the Roshan pit, means that boom, they've gone back to the outpost and saying, look, we need to be able to buy back and potentially TP through to this. Obviously with that Inner Beast Aura, it's really easy to pick it up, and that Alpha Wolf that's being held right now by Carl, and of course an Ursa and the Roshan is always a pretty winning combination.
That is true. GeekFam really starting to posture up around this this Roche pit. They want to make sure that they can sneak into it whenever they would like to. They did clear up that tier 2 tower top, so there's really not that much control here that Boom have of their own jungle. So this outpost is extremely important for them. For now, Raven's more than happy to sit back and farm a little bit. He's had to be pushed off this bottom wave, feeling a little bit unsafe being there, which is understandable.
Yeah, he's just gone into a little bit of that farm acceleration with the Yasha. He's gone the shotgun build, so probably nullifying a lot of what this Necrophos is trying to do. You know, he's like, oh, you can't hit me, I'm ghost shrouded. Well, you can get popped pretty damn quick.
It's like a double E-blade coming up from Makoto. If he ghost shrouds in the most inopportune spots. He does have that Yule Scepter to try and dodge it out. He's got a decent amount of heals on top as well, so if Makoto plays it well, he can try and deal with it. But as of right now, I don't look too good once Raven does pick up this this E-blade. I guess GeekFam's probably, I wouldn't say waiting on the E-blade, but that's a good turning point for them right now. Oh, looks like we've got a fight towards the middle side. Cuckoo does get used up into the air, but they don't have any other follow-up for it.
Yeah, that Necro book blocking up the arrow real nicely.
A little unfortunate there for Boom. But yeah, back to what I was saying about Raven on the Morphling. Are they? I wouldn't say they're waiting for the E-blade, right? But once they get the E-blade, that's kind of like go central there for GeekFam, right?
It absolutely is. It gives them definitely the kill potential to be able to get that outnumber and then snowball that into a different objective. Oh, they found out Carl here. Yeah,
Carl does throw out the Primal Roar onto FBZ. He's quite tanky on the Tidehunter, so that Static Storm Kinetic Field combo doesn't do much for them. So Boom now realizing that a few ultis are on cooldown, they can start putting a bit of pressure on them. They can probably just walk into the Roche Pit as well here for Boom. They've got the Ursa, they've got the Tidehunter. Doesn't have that Vlad just yet, but doesn't matter because Dreamer Cell is quite tanky and quite good at killing Roche himself. They are trying to fight towards the mid side here. Makoto getting caught out. Have to use that Ghost Shroud. The Adaptive Strike does a decent amount of damage. So
he's got that Nether Shawl. He had a full wand. He has the Ghost Shroud. He's got the mech. He's got the Yules. There's no way that they can run through him. He just needs to position himself on these front lines here and tank up any damage that might be coming through.
So, Boom picked themselves up, the Aegis of the Immortal, and do hear another glimpse coming back here onto FBZ. So the Tidehunter having to fall himself back into the river. And that was just a little bit unfortunate there coming out from GeekFam. They used the ultis in misopportune times, they used the Roar, they used the Static Storm, so they couldn't really fight into this Roche Pit, and we just saw how quickly Dreamer Cell was able to clean up that Roche.
Yeah, it's one of those things that typically you could punish a Tidehunter draft about, is that you can use that Ravage and then suddenly you can't contest for the next 2.5 minutes, you know, whether it be a tower, whether it be Roshan, but he's done a really good job at holding off and making sure that he's got it available for the next team fight, or even, it's like the black hole, right? It's the threat of the black hole. It's not always just the black hole itself.
Yeah, exactly.
Rotations through to bot side. They should be able to clean up this tier 2 tower. You're just popping Dreamer Cell on the front lines here. They're not too worried about him.
Oh, they're looking for Zephyr in the mid side though. They do have the clumsy net, but unfortunately Hyde did not have the cooldowns long enough for Makoto to come in with that Reaper Scythe. He did have the Flame Guard up as well, so Zephyr was most likely going to be fine. FBZ finds himself a DD rune. Cuckoo wanted to try and take that away from him.
I'm liking this from Dreamercell. Now that they've taken the bottom tier 2 tower, they've got the outpost. There's no real way for them to easily just run into him and disrupt his farm, and wisely he's also taking the Ancients away from GeekFam. With that Battle Fury, he can farm them up really quickly, nice and efficient. Of course, when it's neutral item time, he'll pick them up quicker for his team. But for now, he's just happy to be a bit more efficient on the map.
You're just trying to increase that net worth here for Dreamercell. He's going to go for a BKB next. Just a casual Sange, I guess. Alright, I feel that.
I think it's fine for now. He wants to start building up that status resistance, most importantly. They've got a decent amount right now on GeekFam, so he wants to hold on to that Aegis for as long as he can. And they realize that their fighting time is now, with that BKB coming out to our Ursa. And, well, with the Aegis still having 2.5 minutes left on it, they want to try and make a game play now.
Yeah, it looks like GeekFam are just going to sit back and farm for a little bit. They've got the E-Blade now onto Raven, so they've got a decent amount of burst damage, so they can try and take down some of these heroes who do get locked down.
Halberd as well on this Necrophos, so again, how do you kill it?
Yeah, it really does feel like Makoto is going to be one of those unkillable gods this game. He's only 1-1-1. So he's only been involved in 2 kills out of the 5 for his team. So not all too bad for Makoto. They're going to look towards Raven in the top side. Morphling has showed himself on this top lane. They don't really have the lockdown for it because FBZ is still in that mid lane. So Raven does feel quite confident just pushing up this lane. FBZ is looking for more though under the Shroud of the Smoke. He's not going to find anything. So hitting into the tier 1 tower is Boom. They want to try and get this down and then want to start to take a little bit more map control here from GeekFam, who are trying to trade this mid tier 1.
And that was, oh, they've glimpsed back Makoto here. So
FBZ. He's getting caught out here. They do throw the roar down, but with the Kraken Shell, they're going to be able to get rid of that Shadow Strike. So Hyde does catch out Carl here on the side. Using the Earn down as well, so FBZ quite tanky on the front side here. They're looking for more. The Static Storm Kinetic Field combo doesn't hit straight away. He throws out the Ravage beforehand, but Raven takes him down. It's already using the Strength Morph here onto the Morphling, so he's going to be quite tanky when he gets out of this. He has to turn into the Marauder, turn himself back into the Morphling and jump down the other side. FBZ buys back into this fight, and they want to get the Morphling kill. The big arrow comes down from the Yules and the Ripper Scythe on top. Raven sent to the bin for 80 seconds. With that buyback from FBZ, doesn't have the Ravage in hand, but it looks like GeekFam really don't want to fight here. Zeph is going to try and cut the crit wave, but Boom, certainly coming out on top on that one.
Fantastic heads-up play from FBZ. They're realizing the enormity of the Ravage range and saying, well, I could just use it on the other side of the Static Storm and still be fine. Will they catch out the Ember Spirit here as well?
Oh, they found Zephyr. It's a decent amount of stun there with the Coconut on top. And they've called out another one here. FBZ getting a buyback, getting himself another kill. So you're feeling pretty good if you're the Tidehunter right now. And Boom, I feel like they're really just starting to take a big lead in these team fights. And you can just see how much emphasis they're putting on killing FBZ, but they're utilizing a lot, and they're still not really getting that much out of it. He seems to be getting the Ravage off 9 times out of 10.
Yeah. Dreamercell, he's only got 15 seconds left on this Aegis timing, so he was considering joining up on this top side of the map, helping out Makoto a little bit, but just saying, look, I just want to be able to have the threat of pushing down this tier 3 tower. He's going to go back now, he's going to get the Aegis regeneration, pop his Wraithband back in, and it's push time again.
He's decided to finish off the Sange and Yasha as well here on Dreamercell, so want to be a speedy boy.
An unsung hero of that team fight as well, of course. Great Ravage coming through from FBZ, but Kezcute's paralyzing cast connected onto 3 heroes and just kept them completely out of the fight, which is what enabled them to get those chain stuns happening onto Raven. So great team play from Boom coming out from all parties.
Yeah, so GeekFam now, they do get the smoke up. Cuckoo drops down his Necro Book, so he wants to try and push out this lane. They do realize the Dreamercell does not have his Aegis of the Immortals, but he does have a BKB. Oh, that's a lot of damage going in onto the Ursa. Hasn't used his BKB yet. He turns around with his own BKB. Doesn't take that much damage because he has the Enrage up. So no Enrage now, no BKB here for Dreamercell. Cuckoo's walking forward. That's a lot of damage. They're coming in again here with the Static Storm Kinetic Field combo, trying to keep Cuckoo alive. They do get the roll down onto Makoto on the front side. He's a quite tanky hero. Finally uses that mech. He has that Halberd as well here. Raven's going to come back in there trying to burst down the Necrophos. Can they get rid of him? They've already taken down Kezcute. Yes, they can. So another one goes down here for the side of Boom. Raven jumping forward there with the leap. And unfortunately, he doesn't connect onto anybody else. So Boom, they lose 2. They lose their unkillable tank in Makoto. GeekFam starting to swing this back.
A little bit odd. They didn't even get the perfect usage of their ultimates, right? I think the Static Storm caught nobody, and at the end, perhaps being a little bit quick on the fingers with this Necrophos to use some of those spells. Hyde's going to try his best to get away.
Or Dreamercell. They know that his BKB should be on cooldown here, and Cuckoo, he just gets caught out there by the clumsy net, so Hyde doing a good job there to keep the Queen of Pain in line. Do you throw out the Ethereal Blade to keep the Ursa at bay for now, but it doesn't matter. Look at how much damage they're pumping into Raven. He's got the Malefice on top of him as well, so he's going to take a decent lick of damage when that starts popping out. So actually, no, it looks like it didn't take all too much. So Kezcute getting himself caught in this kinetic field. They're trying to look for Zephyr. He is quite hard to lock down on this Ember Spirit. He's running out of mana, though. So it looks like Kezcute feels like the Outpost is far more important than the Ember Spirit kill.
Where was Tidehunter throughout that fight? Because he just used Ravage in that previous team fight somewhere. Maybe it was just to keep Carl away from joining in?
Maybe. I feel like when I saw him, he was walking through the river.
Yeah.
Well.
Interesting. They're not going to have that available, and I'm sure that information's being communicated through to the rest of GeekFam, but Kezcute, he's in a bit of a spot of bother, standing underneath a half-health Sentry Ward, and he's gone.
It was an inevitability there for Kezcute. He was... Oh, okay, the Deny comes down from Cuckoo, interestingly enough. But looks like they're going to try and fight for more, as you said, FBZ. He doesn't have his Ravage. They're going to come in with the Static Storm on top of Makoto. Doesn't get stuck inside of it because they had no kinetic field. They're bringing him back inside here onto Cuckoo. Catches an arrow after that Yule Scepter. They're trying to get back, but Whitemon gets beaten down there by FBZ, who's standing in the front. He doesn't have Ravage, though, so he can't get anything else done. The Reaper Sight comes down. They've taken down Cuckoo. They want to get rid of Makoto here. Carl trying to juke himself back in and out here. Dreamercell getting on top of Raven, sending him outside of this fight. So it looks like, boom, they do save Whitemon. I mean, they do save Makoto, but they lose Zephyr on the backside there, who tried to clean up that kill. So unfortunately there for GeekFam, they lose 3, and all they pick up is a Kezcute kill.
Just doing pos 5 things, you know, making sure that he's the one. He's even going into a power treads just for a little bit of tank.
Hell yeah!
Quite surprising for a Witch Doctor.
I agree with that. You know, get himself a couple hundred HP. I mean, he's still going to get popped by an E-Blade combo, but, you know, he does have the Glimmer Cape. Glimmer Cape treads and a wand and a infused raindrops. That should chunk through a decent amount of that damage coming out from Raven. So we'll see what Boom can get done now. They do have Ravage coming off cooldown in a couple of seconds. They don't have mana for it, so they're going to look for Carl. He is extremely fast with his boots of travel. God damn it, he is fast.
He sure is. He's got that Solar Crest as well for the additional movement speed, but
Raven.
He doesn't want to borrow it.
He's caught in the trees here. The rest of Boom are making their way over here. He does wave form himself all the way up, but he doesn't have mana for a TP or that arrow. They spotted out where he is, so they know exactly where this Morphling is going to be, and he's going to get caught out, and I'm sure Raven certainly will die here. He's going to get the straight Morph out, but it doesn't matter. Boom surround him. Boom take him down, and that's 60 seconds without their Morphling now.
And this is how all the previous encounters between these two teams have gone. You know, maybe not an absolute kill fest, but back and forth throughout the entire game. It's on a knife's edge, even though it is Boom favored for now. I mean, that's what happens when you try and bring a game back into things. Play a little bit more aggressively. You can get caught out. So some good scouting being done by Boom, and they don't want to stop. They pop the Moonlight Shadow. They're trying to find another priority kill. Sure, there's too many people out of position right now. Carl wisely TP's back towards the mid lane.
Yeah, they did throw out a scan there, which was on top of Carl's head, so Dreamercell's just going to walk himself into the Roche pit. This will be Aegis and Cheese. Makoto with Cheese is going to feel next to impossible to kill. He was pretty hard to kill in that last fight, but now having Cheese, basically impossible. Cuckoo! He came in for something. Zephyr picks up the Aegis. Okay, so I didn't realize that that's what was going to happen there. So GeekFam coming out on top of it. Did he end up with the Cheese as well? Alright, Zephyr, let's go.
Alright, so they got the Cheese on Dreamercell, but Aegis and the Roshan kill going to GeekFam with the use of that Sonic Wave. So nicely done there by GeekFam to steal some valuable experience away. 2 of Boom's heroes weren't actually with them for that Roche fight. FBZ farming up on that top side, and oh no, it's going to be all for naught if they can catch out Carl here. Yeah,
Carl's going to go down. He does throw out the Raw here. He's quite tanky, so he's speeding himself away. The clumsy net comes down, keeps him rooted for a little bit longer. Makoto really wants to get down on top of him for the Reaper's Scythe, and they do get the kill there. Finally, Boom pick up Carl 110 seconds on the sideline without a Beastmaster here, without a mid Beastmaster as well. So Boom, got a decent amount of time to come back into this game, but Zephyr still has the Aegis, so they don't have the Aegis on Dreamer Cell just yet.
Buyback potentially going to be forced out here, though. You've got a mid lane pushed all the way into the tier 2. 85 seconds left until this Beastmaster's back in action. And, well, 2 lanes really being pushed in rather than just the one. They know that Cuckoo's here, they know he's pulling the waves, so they can just prioritize defending this mid lane and actually do a bit of a two-pronged attack here if they want to.
Yeah, they've pushed in this bottom side as well as the mid, so they're going to be able to clear out those creeps from Boom. They really want to start putting a lot of pressure on this tier 3 tower. They have the cheese in the pocket here for Dreamer Cell. They want to make sure they don't get themselves caught out by a big Static Storm Kinetic Field combo. Dreamer Cell is going to be the one on the front lines hitting this out, and Raven's just going to stick himself on the top side. Again,
nice timing of that. Nice timing of that fortify by Boom. Oh,
FBZ.
No, he actually clips him out.
That's a little bit unfortunate there for Whitemon. He's not really having the greatest of Static Storm combos this game, but FBZ walking himself out of that. He still has the Ravage in the back pocket. They've taken out the tier 3. They want to get those melee racks on top as well. Dreamer Cell's walking in with the Abyssal Blade. So that's the first life there for the Ember Spirit. And GeekFam coming back in now. They want to try and get a little bit aggressive onto Boom. Dreamer Cell getting himself stuck inside of the Lightning Cage. But at what point does it feel like that you're stuck inside the Lightning Cage with Ursa instead of him being stuck inside there with you? And they do take a full lane of racks there, and Boom are just going to walk themselves out. They didn't use basically anything for that. Well, they're going to come back in here on FBZ, stuck in the middle of a lot of GeekFam heroes, but they can't do anything without the Static Storm, so FBZ pump faking that Ravage just makes GeekFam hit that abort button. And they're going to get out nice and clean.
Yeah, gets out. I was talking about before the glyph being used to perfection. When the Radiant one was popped, you might think, oh, you gotta instantly pop the Dire one. They let the melee creeps die, they kept the valuable range creeps and the siege creep alive by just delaying it a couple of tower hits there on Boom. So nicely done, and well, that allowed them to keep that backdoor protection alive and well, or rather not alive and well, and the siege creep slowly hitting through onto that tower.
Yeah, well, with this laner Rex taken up now here from Boom, means they are able to put a little bit more pressure across the map here onto GeekFam. Oh, they found out Raven. FBZ pump faked the Ravage, expecting Raven to be faster on the fingers, but fortunately doesn't catch it out. The Usurper comes forward here, out on the Whitemon. They've caught out the Disruptor. The Force Staff comes in from Zephyr. They're keeping him alive for a little bit longer. FBZ pump faking the Ravage again. Another Static Storm Kinetic Field combo from Whitemon misses. That's so unfortunate here for the Disruptor. They come in with FBZ. They do pump fake the Ravage again. He's trying to find a good position to get it done, so they eventually take down the Disruptor. And now with the Sonic Wave down, no Static Storm. All they've got is the Roar here for GeekFam. This is looking quite bad, but Boom, looking pretty strong walking into this tier 3 tower. They want to try and get another lane of racks.
And no glyph available either, so they have the freedom to just push in. Even the supports can stand a bit more aggressively in this team fight.
Okay, the Roar comes down. They're going to try and take down Dreamer Cell, but he gets that on Rage off. He still has Cheese and BKB in his back pocket, so he's okay with how that worked out here for for Boom. So Makoto's going to walk in and try and get everybody back to full HP. Goku is going to try and do what he can. Fortunately, Zephyr falls himself back there with a few remnants, and the tier 3 tower eventually will go down with nothing left here for GeekFam. There's not really much they can do. They don't have a BKB on Raven. They don't have Static Storm. They don't have Roar.
They're pinging FBZ. They want to make something happen onto him because they know that that's the thing that could potentially turn the team fight. This Ravage.
He's got no mana. Does use his 21 charge, and Dreamer Cell just jumps back in and takes down Zephyr. This looks like a death by 1,000 cuts here from Boom. They're tanking through everything that's coming their way. They're just slowly chipping away at these buildings. They found out Zephyr again. He does use that Remnant to get away from the Yule's Arrow combo, but Boom, they're going to be able to clean themselves off a second lane of racks. They're just going to walk away from this. They're okay with how this is going. And at this time, it just seems like GeekFam are slowly just going to lose this game.
There's some good team play coming out still from Geek. Getting some body blocks off with the Necro units, with the board that time around, making sure they're not going to lose Cuckoo as well. But 2 lanes of racks gone, using their cooldowns to maximum efficiency. And really, how do you run into this? Even if, you don't have the Death Pulse, you don't have the mechanism, the Voodoo Restoration's gone because of the mana. This Ursa's just got a Paladin Sword that he can just use to whack up onto a couple of creeps, and he's fine.
Oh, they found an FBZ here. You'll set to a static storm. Kinetic combo doesn't hit anybody again. White one. I feel like that's 0 from 5 right now. And it looks like Jerry Marcel, he's trying to aim for more here for GeekFam. This looks like it was the last hurrah coming out from GeekFam. The Raw comes down. Doesn't have the cheese. Does have his enrage coming in. The Ravage comes forward, but Raven and already BKBs that off. The rest of Boom are starting to get themselves in the bash. They've called out Cuckoo. They lose 3 again. And it looks like Boom are going to be able to walk themselves into the rest of these lanes of racks. Oh, no. Carl. He got stuck on the high ground. How does he get stuck on the high ground?
He spider legs himself up there just to try and get the TP off, put the vision and the arrow enough to make sure that he was a non-factor for that team fight.
That is very unfortunate there. The GGs have been called, and that's it. Boom are able to take the first game up against GeekFam here. And that's a good start there for Boom. Being able to come in on what felt like a little bit of an even game starting out here up against Boom, but I mean starting up against GeekFam, but I mean they look pretty strong.
They did. I mean, it came down to the very last day for them to even get into this upper bracket. So the fact that they're looking so strong, obviously with the 2-0 in their series yesterday, and a 1-game lead already in this winners bracket final, means that they're only 1 game away from punching their ticket to the all-important grand final.
Exactly. That is the first game here between Boom Esports and GeekFam. I've been Fluke. I've been joined by Danog. We're going to go to a short break and we'll see you guys soon.